What's up, traders? Today I want to share with you 3 different stock scans that I run on a regular basis, heck, even daily basis, from Finviz.com. So step number 1, go to Finviz.com. It will be linked in the description, and then navigate to the screener tab here in the top gray menu bar. Once you've done that, you should be presented with some filters towards the top of the window, but please select the All tab to reveal all of the scanning criteria. Once you've done that, it should now look something like this. Before we start adding in different criteria, I would point out that we've got roughly 8,500 stocks to scan through, and to have to do that manually would be an incredibly daunting task, so watch this number slowly drop down to a more reasonable bunch as we start adding criteria. So let's build out the scan foundation. This is not the scan itself, just the foundation. First thing we want to do is change the industry to stocks only. Right? The reason that we're doing this is to avoid returning things like broad market indexes or really obscure ETFs. Let's just focus on individual companies. Next up, one filter to the right, we have country. We're going to set this to the United States of America. And the reason we want to do that is to avoid returning things that are ADRs, American Depository Receipts. Think of something like Alibaba, right? It technically trades on 2 markets, the US market as well as the Asian market. And we really want to avoid the headache of these really choppy charts. So if we can do that by setting up US-based filters, fantastic. We're going to take advantage of that. Next up, we really care about liquidity, and liquidity is almost, not quite, but almost synonymous with volume. So let's go to where it says average volume here down towards the middle, bottom middle that is, and set that to be over 2 million. I know that's off screen, so here it is. Over 2M is the option that we selected from the dropdown. Of those highly liquid stocks, we want the ones with the most interest from traders currently, so let's go to relative volume, 1 to the right, and set that up to be over 1. Last but not least, for our foundation, we want to set the average true range as well, just so we're not looking at things that are only moving like a 5-cent range over the course of 5 trading days. Let's set this up to be over 1. And that's not a dollar, it's 1 as in the calculation of average true range. Anyways, what we've done here is already filter down from roughly 8,500 stocks to 128. Already, this is a pretty manageable list. If you wanted to filter through this manually, you can be my guest. One thing that I would recommend is not looking through this from just a list layout like this. I would recommend using the Charts tab right here. So click on Charts. And then instead of looking at these auto-drawn technical nonsense charts, in my estimation, I would prefer that you click on the candle option here and look at plain price action charts without the sort of distractions of random trend lines and auto-generated this and that, okay? So this is a really good starting place. Anyways, we've got 128 results, and what you'll notice is that this is a preset that I have saved as the Swing newsletter. This goes out every Sunday. You can sign up for that if you'd like in the link down below. But if you want to save the preset, just go to Save Screen, and it'll bring you to this screen right here. And you can name this whatever you'd like. And it's got some metadata about the scan. I'm not going to save this because it's the same exact thing as what we've got right underneath here. So I'll click Remove, but that's how you would do it. You can press Save Changes, and then you're back on this screen again. So we've set up the foundation. Now, what are the 3 scans that I run on a regular basis? Number 1 is to look for stocks that are technically in an uptrend. So how do we do that? We want to go right here to where it says 20-day simple moving average, and we want to set price to be above the 20 SMA. That is step number 1. Step number 2 is to set up the 50-day simple moving average, and what we want is the 20 to be above or the 50 to be below. I don't entirely remember the wording. It's the 3rd one from the bottom. Here we go. I know it was off screen, so I'll show you right here. 50 SMA beneath the 20 SMA. That way that they're stacked in the proper orientation. Last but not least, we'll do the same thing with the 200 SMA to be beneath the 50 SMA. And I believe this one's also off screen. Yep, it's last on the list here. It's the SMA 200 below SMA 50. And now what we've done is we've essentially ensured that the stocks we're looking at are in an uptrend, and we've already met all the criteria of our base fundamental scan that we set up first. So it's only looking like we're returning 2 things in the market currently, and that makes total sense. If you recall, and maybe not recall is the right word, but today is October 18th. Right, 2022. The market has been in a severe downtrend ever since 2022 started. So it doesn't strike me as all that surprising that not many stocks out there, especially with the criteria we've outlined, are in new uptrends, right? One thing we could do to slightly open up the results that are given here is that we could reduce the average volume to 1 million if we wanted to see some more things. So now we've got 9 results. And again, this is a very manageable amount of results to manually filter through here, I would just go through and see what's in play. So Dino actually does strike me as an interesting play. What you'll notice is we've got a flat top and a trend line that looks like this. It's an ascending triangle. There might be a breakout in Dino based on the scan that we've just run. So we could add this to a watch list, right? What else strikes us as interesting? Well, Mur over here is seemingly building some sort of bull flag. It's in an uptrend. Would it be reasonable to watch for a breakout over the top? Absolutely. Put it on a watch list, right? So you can keep going through all of these things. I suppose Twitter looks very similar with the bull pennant, right? There's some buyout news there, of course, with Elon Musk. But regardless, you get the gist, right? We're finding stocks in an uptrend that are clearly exhibiting signs of relative strength. And you can, of course, open up more results by changing the average volume. So that's scan number one that I run on a daily basis. And as we set this back to over 2 million, you can see I have it saved as a preset golden stack uptrend. Golden stack just referring to the moving averages being stacked in the bull's favor. So let's continue to the second scan I run. Can you guess what it is? We're just going to flip all of these to bearish. So I'll just walk through it actually. So we want price below the 20 SMA. We want the 50 above the 20 SMA. And we want the 200 above the 50, right? So we've just reversed that entire stack of moving averages. And you can see I've got that saved as a preset golden stack downtrend. And what we're returning here are 37 results, even with the average volume being over 2 million. And again, this should make sense to us because the market has been in quite a downtrend here. So it's more likely that stocks will be in a downtrend following the market. So it shouldn't be surprising that we're returning more results from the downtrend scan versus the uptrend scan. Now, if this seems like some pretty basic stuff to you, that's fine. But trading in the direction of these trends is going to save you a ton of headaches. So here on these, we're looking to trade short-sided setups, right? So what do we have here? Anything catching our eye right off the bat? Ally is potentially presenting us with a flush point underneath these lows, right? You could look at this as like a weekly bear flag or something like that. A breakdown there gets interesting. Add it to a watch list. What else? AMD is putting in this balance range here, possibly looking to short the breakdown of the balance. We know we're in an aggressive downtrend, right? What else? Anything here looking interesting? Looking for another particular example that I would find as enticing for a short setup. Let's look at the second page, see what types of results we have over here. And yes, look at this. PEG, Public Service Enterprise Group, is putting in an inverted hammer after a dead cat bounce. So we know that we're in a downtrend, and this isn't so much a strategy video, right? We're just talking about how to scan for these things. But we're in a downtrend. We made a new lower low. We've got an inverted hammer that's forming right on the back test of this low here. Would it not be reasonable for that to be the next lower high sequence in this downtrend of the market, right? So PEG would probably go on a watch list, right? What else do we have? Any other screaming inverted hammers that are obvious to look for? VNO looks interesting as well, right? You've got your downtrend. Oops, let's get that little tag out of there. You've got your downtrend in place. This could be a set of lower highs. If we short underneath those inverted hammer lows, retarget the lows here, stop over the highs, maybe you've got yourself a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio, right? So just walking through these, smaller lists, hopefully nothing is really greater than 50 once you've set up these particular scan parameters that we've gone through. Now, I've got one more, which is not as simple as these here. It actually requires fewer inputs, and I'll just show it as a preset here. It's called the short squeeze setup. And it's very, very simple. Basically, we're still looking for lots of liquidity. Relative volume is not as important. Reason being is if something's consolidating and it hasn't made a move yet, we don't want it to be a stock of high interest currently. We want to find these things before they possibly break out. Another filter that we've removed is the average true range filter right here. Again, it doesn't matter if something's coiling up currently. We want to wait and essentially catch the move before it starts expanding. So we don't really want to be looking for things that have already made the move, if you will. The trend doesn't matter so much. So we've removed all of these filters from our trend scans that we've just ran. And we've added the float short being high, greater than 20%, and the RSI as being not overbought. This is very important. We want to make sure that we're not overbought on the RSI to ensure that the quote-unquote short squeeze, where can I draw? Where's a good place? There we go. The quote-unquote short squeeze has not unfolded yet. So this is a very critical part. Not overbought, less than 50 is the parameter for that. And again, it's going to hopefully help us find things before possible squeezes have unfolded. So many of these charts will look ugly. Like this, for example, is something that you probably want to stay away from. So I wouldn't really focus on charts that look like this. But what we want to watch for are there any obvious breakout points where if we move above a certain level, there's a reasonable expectation that we could move higher. BYND, again, this looks a little bit odd here based on that price scale, but let's come on over to this platform and go BYND and see what we're possibly looking at towards these lows. All right, so it doesn't really look to be in play right now, but I would say, like, if BYND over the next couple of days could get any price acceptance over 16, okay, you've got all these shorts who have piled in dead at the lows. This based on showing up on our screener. If we take out 16 to the upside, maybe we get a little bit of a short squeeze through some of this thin structure here. So again, maybe you put it on a watch list and say, I'll watch out for BYND to possibly squeeze if we take out 16. Back on over to the platform. Anything else looks similar from that perspective? Nothing quite yet grabbing my attention. Nothing quite yet. Here, GEVO, if GEVO were to get above this prior breakdown point and rejection at 250, that again could possibly go on a watch list as a squeeze candidate, noting that we're making a little bit of a bounce off of these lows. Something that's really important to remember when we're looking at this particular scan is not to be married to the upside. I want to, definitely preface this scan by saying, please don't be married to the upside. We're just looking to take advantage of short-term price action. Here's another great one. This actually looks really good in MVIS for microvision. Notice how we've got a clean balance area forming on the daily chart with a little bit of an indecisive doji at the top. If we take this out with a little bit more conviction, we could see a little bit of a squeeze there based on the short float being so high, right? Over 20%. So let's actually look at that on the platform here. MVIS was the ticker. And again, what you'll notice is it kind of makes sense that if we were to take out this kind of level right here with a little, like a daily close up above that, you could make an excuse for this to squeeze a little bit higher. Even if it's just a trade up into $4, I mean, 350 to 4 on something trading at this price point, that's definitely a substantial move from a percentage standpoint, right? So that's kind of how I use these three scans. Anything else here? Ocugen, possibly same idea, right? A little balance range down there. If we squeeze, might unfold nicely. Anything else here really grabbing my attention? Not quite. But please do remember, especially with this last scan here, most of the time you are going counter trend, so don't be married to the setup and get in and out as quick as possible. Just try to take advantage of the squeeze if it unfolds, and that's what I've got for you in today's video. So again, finviz.com, it is linked down below in the description. You want to use the screener tab here in the top left of the gray menu bar, and those are some of the scans that I run on a regular basis. Remember, if you're not finding all of the results that you want in something like the golden stack uptrend here, what you can do is you can change this to over 1 million. And now instead of 2 results, we've got the 9, as we pointed out earlier. You can even come in and say relative volume's only got to be 0.75 or greater. Now we've got 17 results. So you can adjust these things slightly, but I wouldn't deviate too far from that foundation that we set up early. I probably would never change this and then only really ratchet these down 1 tick in the menu. So again, we went from 2 to 1 million. Here we went from 1 to 0.75. I wouldn't really drop the average true range to anything less than 0.75 either, but that will open up the scan just a little bit. We added 1 more result based on that change there. So that's going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed the tutorial or learned anything new today, let me know down below in the comments section. If you like these types of tutorials and want to see others, let me know any ideas you've got, any questions you might have. I'm happy to answer them in tutorial format. So let me know in the comments section. And with that being said, I wish you all a green trading week.